So tell us how people should think on this framework, because when you say discretionary power, generally people think like when you control more, when the government officials give like, they supervise, they sign something, that gives like more transparency. But in reality it goes the other way around, according to my understanding. So tell us a little bit about how this framework, with the evolving nature of the corruption which you mentioned initially at this conversation.
Yeah, so see, a good way of looking at it is that anti corruption also entails checks and balances on power, right? And ministerial discretion in Sri Lanka is very close to almost no check. There's no check and balance on that, right? And like you speaking to what the example that you brought up in terms of the tax changes, right? The special commodity levy. And I think the best example of that is the sugar scam, right? And it costs the country so much money. It costs the country a lot of money. And that, in terms of how to think about that, is that there needs to be guidelines, there needs to be restrictions and regulations even for ministers in terms of making those decisions, right? And there's a parliamentary process for a reason. There doesn't need to be certain things that bypass that, right? And if you are to bypass those things, there needs to be very special circumstances, and that needs to be highly regulated as well, right? So ministerial discretion can't be used and can't be mandated for things that have such an enormous impact on a country, right? It's not like the day-to-day running of a ministry either, right? This is policy decisions. These are large-scale policy decisions that one person cannot be just making it at their will and whim and fancy. So that's where we're at. So this could require legislative changes, legislative amendments, like I said, to the special commodity levy. These acts, a good place to start would be needing approval from Parliament, right? To actually make these changes, as opposed to making the changes. And, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think for a month, you have a month to report that you made this change, right, under the special commodity levy. So regulations like that really need change. They really need reform. And ministerial discretion and, sole just concentration of power in general it's very not conducive to good governance.